So we're going to have a look at something that's fairly commonly requested, which is how to create marking teams in Brightspace using the groups tool. So this will give us the ability, our markers, to be able to filter their view so they only see the group of students that they have to mark, for example. So the way that we would do this in Brightspace uses the groups tool, and staff can access the groups tool through a couple of different ways. One of them is using communication and then groups. The other way would be to look in your subject admin area, and under learner management, you've got groups. Both of them open up your manage groups dashboard. And you'll notice straight away it has this term category, new category. So category in Brightspace in the groups tool refers to a group set. So what we call the collection of groups within Interact 2 in Blackboard, for example, are used for the same purpose. We're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to create a new category. I'll call this one, just as an example, Assessment 1 Marking Teams. Now at this point, it asks me for a description. I'm not too fussed about that. I think the title conveys it all, so I don't really need a description at this point. Probably the most important thing is the enrollment type that we're going to choose. And what I want is a way for the system to automatically split up my cohort no matter how many students are enrolled. So really, I want to create a base unit for marking, let's say a block of 20 students, and then it will just divide up the cohort into those blocks of 20, and I can allocate those to my markers. So I'm going to switch my enrollment type to groups of a specific number. So that means there'll be a cap. The number of users I'm looking for is 20 in each of my groups. If I wanted to restrict this to a particular cohort of students, I could, but I'm not going to. I want to divide up the whole cohort. And that will do for the moment, except for this setting here, auto enroll new users. So if we have students that are added to the subject after the provisioning at week -4, I want those included in the split just to be added and split up automatically. I don't mind if they're randomized, that's fine. And I'm not worried about setting up other additional areas for my markers at this point. But if you wanted a discussion area to be associated with these marking teams, you could do that. You'd probably need to make it restricted so that only your staff could access it. But for now, we're just going to create our marking teams. So I hit save. It's creating them in the background. Hit OK. And it's creating those groups. I might just refresh my browser. We'll have a look, and you'll see that it has split my cohort, which looks like it has just shy of 80 students in it, into 4 groups. Now, if you want these to have different names, for example, you could then go in and change those names. You could give them names, for example, for the markers, keeping in mind that students will be able to see any groups that they are enrolled in. So if you didn't want the marker's name included in here, then don't put it in the title. So you can leave them as group 1, you can change them to whatever title you like, or leave them as they are. And it has already split up the users. And if we click on members here, we'll see it'll give me the names of the users in that team. So I've got my category, Assessment 1 Marking Teams, and I've got 4 groups created. So at this point, if I put on my hat of being a marker in the subject, I could be saying that Lachlan the marker needs to only mark group 1, which means that when I'm going into my assessments, so I might open up my assignment dashboard and open up, this will do, this third assessment here. You'll notice that one of the filters that we have when we can see our list of users, I can view by section, so my cohort of students, or hit the drop down, we can filter by groups. And if we have groups in the subject, this will now let me see, if I just hit apply, now it will give me access to my groups. And I can see here are my marking team groups, and I can choose whichever I've been allocated. So if Lachlan, the marker, had been given groups 1, 2, and 3 to mark, I can now filter my view, hit apply, and I will only see the students, the 20 students that have been allocated to that block. Similarly, if I wanted to switch that then to the second one, change the view, and now I've got a different 20 students that I can see. So that's it. We have a mechanism that will allow us to filter which students we are looking at. You create the group first, and if you have that structure in place inside your master subject site, this feature, it will automatically create your marking teams for you every time the subject is rolled out. And then all you need to do is allocate your groups to your markers. So relatively straightforward process that does not involve you having to manually enroll students into groups every time. Thanks for that.